Now, test fire. See our ammo regen? This is RG from Synthetik Source, and today I'd like to teach you how to mod. What is modding? Well, you can look at it this way. Modding is creating game elements for a game. Of course, other people can play it. Though I'm sure you knew this already, that's essentially what it is. Down here at the bottom, there's an enabler. The browser is very straightforward, but you can download any of these and start playing with them immediately. And if you ever do download a mod, the enabler, this is where you would turn off and on your various mods. If you wanted to. If you feel like there's too much going on, maybe your game is having problems, the enabler may be important for you to go over. Where we're going next is the Universedit tab. Come in here. So this looks like a lot. It looks like a lot here. There's all this shit on the side. You're not really sure what to click on because you don't really know what you're doing. And that's totally fine. I didn't at first either until I spent about 2 weeks with it, and now I pretty much know enough to be able to make a video like this one. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make a video together. Now, the first thing you wanna do, and this is most important, is you wanna create a new depot or folder. I call it a folder sometimes. I'm gonna be using the term interchangeably. So we click on this button here, new. Here we are. Name. Obviously, this is going to be the one that displays. So, as an example, the cipher is my main depot. Public release 1 is the depot that contains the first mod I published, at least the only mod I have up available for you to download currently. So, this delete button, you want to be careful with it because you could be on the wrong depot and you could lose a lot if you're not careful. So, because we have no depot, no named depot set that we're going to be screwing with, we can hit the delete button. And it just defaults back to if you had like a previous one, a main one, whatever. But so we're going to click the new button here. And we're just going to call it player character. Something that's really nice is Control A, Control X, Control V, and Control C all work. Tab does not. Tab works as though you're creating space in the field. So don't think you could tab to the next field. It's not going to work for you. So you then confirm your depot. Bam. All right. Now, as you can see, this is blank, but it's because we have nothing over here selected. So what I want to do with us here, with our time for now, is I want us to do a few simple things. We did the first important thing, which is create a depot. The depot set, we clearly, right here in this box, have this depot selected. So that's good. That's good. We want that. What we're doing next is we're going to create something called a player class. Now here, these are the current classes. The classes all house specializations or subclasses. So all of this here, these are all partner to the class selection. Now, I have it in mind to eventually make a new Riot Guard class. But what we'll do instead is we're going to go and choose the Chrono Trooper. Now, while you could create a new one, you could even create a new player class. Do not do that. So we're going to click Copy Chrono Trooper. After jumping into this class window here, there's a few things here, but you don't want to go overboard and look at it all immediately. You want to go from the top, straight up just from the top. So config state, pretty important, okay? This is just another chain link in our big chain. Clicking this button here, you're going to get this drop-down menu. What we're going to do is click finished. To save time and not have to come back and click the finished button is helpful, but most oftentimes you are not going to be leaving from here until this itself is finished. We'll do that especially for class selection because of the simple fact that we're likely never visiting this class window. This class, we're not going to be really screwing with this class again, the one we're making, of course. Not the Chrono Trooper class, but the one we're making. So clicking finish because we're wanting to save time and we're not going to come back. Just do it. Also, to do with depots, and this is a little bit advanced, but to do with depots, whenever you publish a depot, anything inside of it will also be published with it. So, if you're going to be publishing a depot, your stuff should be finished. So if you have any excess stuff laying around and accidentally upload the entire depot, which take your time, okay? It's not a race. There's no rush. Yeah, have it finished. Make sure it's finished. Make sure you know in your mind that this will be finished eventually. If you're clicking this because you want to save time, it's because you're doing this and you're getting it done in some amount of time where you don't have to worry about coming back and tinkering with anything. Obviously, you can still tinker with it beyond that point, but really, you want your mind set on the idea that this will be finished eventually. And as a result, and this is you telling yourself this will be finished. Again, also you'll be saving yourself time by just having it marked finished. So then also, if you want to test your class, you can do that if it's marked as finished. But of course there are parts to do with the class, which we'll get into then. So moving on, config name. This is, yeah, just like everything else here, most things here at least, pretty important. So we have player characters still copied, we're gonna do that. The editor display name, this is basically your label. It'll be the label that is only visible to you in the editor because it's the editor display name. Now, this all is localization. If you want to punch player character in the Italian language, you would get that together and then you punch in here French. There's a bunch of languages here, which is super cool that you can do that immediately. Yeah, pretty sweet. So, English player character, if we're out in the menu and stuff, or if anyone else is viewing this in their game because they downloaded your mod, they're going to see player character is what they'll see. If I wanted to instead write character player, sure, it's different from player character, but this display name won't affect the English name here. So we're going to leave that and save and move on. So the description, everyone can see this if they're looking at it. And the only reason that they know they can see it because they're looking at it is because they're looking at it and they're seeing it while looking at it. So new. Player character is player character. And then we'll copy all that just for fun. Teleports behind you. Player character is player character. Oh, look at us. Teleport behind you. Yeah, funny. Also, control and left and right work. Hey, we can do that all day. Hey, baby. All right. So save that. Player characters, player character. Thumbnail, categories, this whole stuff. Hey, look at that, that's gone. Because guess what? We don't actually need that, surprisingly. We could need it for other things down the line, but we're focusing on the fundamentals, simple stuff. Class definitions, we're ignoring this also. Class circuit board default modules, we're ignoring this also. This is not fleshed out yet, but don't worry, don't you worry. Because as it turns out, we don't need it currently. We probably also won't need it in the future unless we're making new things. They'll probably do something with the development of it where anything new won't impact the old in a bad way, because you could see countless mods see some kind of ruining, right? So I don't think they'll change this in the future so that we're required. They may even update everyone's stuff simultaneously. And that would be cool, but whatever. So we don't have much in this tab page left. But class weapon choices. This is all stuff that I just click because I personally don't want anything affecting what I'm doing, but what I'm intending. And just as a heads up, so you're gonna see this a few places. Your plus and your minus field, whatever. I'm going to bring this up real quick. So yeah, obviously you can click this and it'll completely remove anything that you have there. Now this little blue, I call it a blue bar, a little blue line, because it looks blue to me. This is moving down every time I put something underneath. And I bring this up because in some places you're going to have that little blue bar sit just above stuff that looks like it's attached to this here. But don't worry. There's a borderline established here that shows you how much this, like the maximum space this thing can affect, right? So the maximum space is stopped here, okay? So we just remove all that. Again, I don't want anything affecting what I'm doing that I am not trying to do. So we are not having weapon unlock shop bothered with at all. I would just outright remove all those parts when you're creating a new class because it could influence what you're trying to do, and I don't think you want to do that. Model player chrono. So certainly, yeah, you could keep that, but because we're player character, we're the lowest of the low. We're gonna go tutorial dummy, no armor. So this, what we'll have is the things you can shoot at in the tutorial, but the unarmored version. So that's pretty cool, right? Save slot image. This isn't really important. You're gonna want something there, of course. I don't think you can remove it, but I don't think you want to. We're just gonna go with the SPR class slot custom. Like that. Hey, look at that. Cool. Class icon. This is cool. Whenever you're selecting your class to choose one of the subclasses to play with, you're gonna have these cool little icons. There's a couple of interesting ones, but we're gonna pick meme icon. Yeah. Class color. We're gonna leave this alone. But what we're gonna do is we're just gonna copy this. Just for later. We're going to remember that we copied it because we will. Just for this, don't worry. So we're going to save this. This is all done. This is done. This is done. Okay? Okay. So certainly we have the class made, but that doesn't mean we can play the game yet. We don't have anything actually made for the class. These are the things you'll be able to play with. This is exactly the stuff you'll be playing with. So we picked the chrono guy. Teleports behind you, player character is player character, so we're gonna go with the Chrono Trooper just because. Doesn't matter. Copy. Again, we're copying. Copy. Okay. So I just want to get this out of the way real quick. So I mentioned the colors before. So specialization color, that's here. Secondary specialization color. Again, Control V works. And even though numbers are changed, none of these values down here, they're not going to change until you either hit enter or click away. Changed. These are important though, these colors, because they affect your ability to active reload. Right. You want your active reload good, because if you are picking up items and things that rely on active reload, or you're trying to shoot more at a quicker rate, active reload is important. So we want that available to people. It's also, if we don't have it together where people aren't able to do active reload, then we're also throwing away an entire mechanic. So again, config state, this is just marking it finished. We're going to finish this, okay? Config name, new. Again, localization. If you want German players to be able to read a certain name, you do that there. Player character is player character. Yep. Whatever, who cares? Secondary description, we can clear that out if we want. We're going to do that just because. No big deal. So again, thumbnail, not really important. Categories, don't bother, don't worry. It's all good, you don't need it. Specialization for the following class. So remember, we made player character. This is what we're messing with right now. While people refer to it as a subclass, it is referred to as a subclass, what we're messing with right now. We have specialization, subclass, they fall under a class. So this is, we're marking this as belonging to a certain class in the game. And character player, player character. You can also do conditions for unlocking things. You could do that. That's essentially a default that we have with everything else in the game. So here we are, weapon unlocks, weapon unlock shop. Of course, as you can see here, we could very easily have ourselves a bunch of weapons that are crazy. We could do that, but then if we're going to do that, we should probably balance it with some sort of cost associated, right? So let's just click, and leave this guy. And we're going to say that you need 10 data for, let's search some stuff out. Nemesis rifle. Why not? All right, moving on. We have the abilities. Here on the abilities page, we can see a few things. We can remove abilities. We can also tack on more. And I'm going to tack on an additional. May not make sense just yet, but that's fine. We can also revert. Everything is back to normal. Works like a dream. Now, I would ask you what you want, but you have no idea what you can even do. So we're not going to ask you what you want, at least not yet. Maybe later. So for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to take a look through and see what we got. Now, we have class ability, space dash space, chrono trooper, space dash space, teleport. What's important about this? What specifically is important about this? Class ability. If you said class ability, you'd be correct. That's what we want. We want to keep in mind class ability. And why do I say that? Well, when you click search, if you just class A, you don't need anything else. Class A. Doesn't change the page number. This is your page number. Doesn't change your page number if you press AB, but erase the A, 11 are tacked on. Press the A, check that out. Also, boop, boop. Look at that, jump the page. You can also just boop, boop. So there's that. We can also go backwards, of course, too, in case it's not a guess or anything of yours. That's just something that you can do. So we have player character player. He doesn't know what he wants to be. He has no idea about his specializations. So he's going to use his imagination and ask himself, what does he want to do here? So we have all these abilities, all of which are in the game, of course. But you'll notice something. Maybe you don't know about this, but there are a number of mobility options. So we have this one here, but there's a, I guess you could say, a lesser version. So this is the Recon Psionic Dodge Roll. Now, there's a version without the psionic bits attached, but we don't see it anywhere. So that totally sucks, but that's fine because we have ways around it. So dodge roll is a thing. What if we punch in dodge? Check that out. Pretty cool. We found the other one. What does it mean? That means that even though you could have all of your options in front of you, and you could very easily do your thing, it's also good to just take a look through and see what options you have. Now, as you can see, the dodge roll came up, but we're also missing 3 pages. So if we just, boom, there are clear things that are happening here that could happen for you. You could choose any of these. You could also just punch in ability, and then you have these things here come up as well. You want to be careful, but also because time isn't exactly of the essence, you can experiment a lot here. So this is about the place, about the spot where we would see ourselves with abilities that we can use as a player. Class ability is typically what we're looking for. So this is it right here. So if class A and dodge roll, those two by themselves don't bring up all of the things you could choose, try just punching in ability and then start from page 3. We're on 3 of 9. And this is the 9th page. A number of these are not going to be of use to you because they weren't programmed for the purpose of being able to create a class. So yeah, there's that. So what do we want? We have our ability selected for the purpose of changing. What do we want for mobility? Well, player character is probably a simple guy. He probably just likes, simplicity, right? He probably just likes that feeling of simplicity. He probably wants to be effective, but he probably just wants to do something that's fun. So he looks at teleport recharging. Draws power from shield regen. Used when standing, grants boosted shield regeneration. That sounds kind of cool. Fast teleport and moving direction. Increased distance, no shield cost. Only 1 charge. Fast teleport and moving direction. Draws power from shields, multiple charges. Well, when we think of teleport, we think of there being no limits to the distance. And maybe player character does it as well. Maybe that's what he wants. So we'll just choose this for him. Now, here's the thing. What is the importance of this order, though? If you've played Synthetik, either of the games, you know that teleport, this being here, this is our movement ability. This is our dash, right? This is at the top. And if we have dash set to shift, that must mean that this first box is the shift button. So what about this? What is this? We got three left. Well, I'll just tell you straight, flat out. This second option is your right click. 3 and 4 are keys 1 and 2. You press key 1 for this third one. You press key 1 in order for you to activate the third one here. You press key 2 to activate this fourth ability. Now, why do I mention that? Well, there are some classes that have a grenade, and that grenade is on key 1. If you've played that class, you will probably like the idea of, if, say for instance, we decide to pick a grenade item, like bundle grenade, we probably want to make sure that that's on a key that we recognize as being offensive, defensive, just depends on your applications of the grenade at the time, of course. So we want to put grenade stuff on 3, key 1. That's what we want. Remember, shift, right mouse, key 1, key 2. A lot of gameplay comes down to what is the player capable of doing. If the player is confused in their decision making, then what has to happen is there has to be some level of clarity. You want to make sure that the level of clarity that you want to take with you into the future playing this game doesn't go against just getting into the game, right? You don't want things that clash with what you're doing. So you want, if for instance you're comfortable with grenade being on 1, you want to make sure grenade is on key 1. Also, because there are people out there who download mods, if you were to upload player character and you have grenade on right click or key 2, they may feel a bit off and it may be harder to play. Things become awkward. These things happen. If you don't know what that's like, play more games. You'll figure it out. You'll see what I mean. Well, Chrono Charge we could keep if we wanted. We could keep that. We could keep that if we wanted, but I think we're gonna take a look. So what do we want on our right mouse button? Punch an ability. Go to page 3. And we're back here. Again, page 3. Because the list populates to the point where page 3 is where the player abilities actually come in. For the time being, things that aren't out yet, like the engineer, you may benefit from not using those things because they could be incomplete, though I can't confirm, I can't deny. We have the teleport, which is super dope. We have the grenade. What exactly do we want on right click? So we have a utility ability. We have ourselves the offensive, defensive to do with the grenade. Now, certainly you could choose something like ground shatter, but I've never used that, so I won't click that. I don't know how it works. Though you can test to your heart's content. I'm not picking that. I don't know what it does. So having some idea of familiarity could help you. But we find ourselves with so many options. It may take a moment to really figure out, ooh, what do we want to do? What do we really want to do? We have a few options here. Of course, I think what we should do is something that we won't feel like will be a problem later. So we could do a specialization thing, anti-tank mine. We could do that. How many times are you gonna encounter a tank, right? Oh, but this has collision. Oh, pretty sweet, pretty sweet. So even if you don't know this, even if nothing is mentioned here, your testing will reveal that to you. I think that's important. Let's see, what do we really want? What do we really want? Well, we could grab the Riot Guard Battle Cry. We're creating Captain Planet. We're combining our forces. So on key 2, what do we want? Well, I don't quite know. But you know what I think we should do? So we got the Grenadier, Riot Guard, Chrono Breacher. Let's search for a recon ability. How's that sound? So we could do something like engine disabling shot. We could do weak point scan, which is always cool. Remember, this is on key 2. We're doing key 2. So what do we want on key 2? Pretty important. It is pretty important when it comes down to it. You want to make sure that you're choosing something, right, that doesn't screw with you too much. Doesn't give you too much of a problem. You want it to be an experience that you're not really going to have an issue with unless you're ready to change things. So we want to make sure we get the right thing, or something that at least we're fine and happy and dandy with using. So I'm going to bring it down to 3 decisions. You could choose the eraser, the weak point scan. I think what we'll do is we'll do the engine disabling shot. Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Perks, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Perks is the same thing. Remember, class, what are we looking for? Perks. Class P. We got 5 pages of goodness here. For the most part. So, what do we actually want? What do we actually want? It's really up to you. The sky is the limit. Psych, we've been to space. Heavy ordnance. Start with the launcher. Well, we could seriously use some backup. So, we're gonna give ourselves a launcher. Why not? Here's where it gets interesting. Ready? So you see, we just picked a class perk. Guess what I'm gonna do? Take a second. Can you guess what I'm gonna do? Item. Yes, you're seeing this correct. I'm looking at items. Why is he looking at items? Why is he looking at items? We're doing perks. Guess what? We're starting with an item. The madness button. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we don't mess around. Yeah, I picked an item. Yeah, right. But you're in perks. You're in perks. But you picked an item. Yeah, don't worry. You can do that. You know what else you can do? You can slap on more stuff. And even more stuff. And even more stuff. But we're not gonna do that just yet. Just yet, because it's a whole mess in there. You should see the room in there. You should see the room. What the hell is this? We'll talk about that later. Don't worry. Focus perks. So this is where you can, if you want, have different perks. Of course. So we got all these here, all these choices, all these class focus perks. So remember, we're doing Captain Planet. We can choose from any of these right now, any of these right here. We're just going to choose from the playable subclasses. So we got the Chrono Man skill down. So, well, what do we want to pick? Let's just let's pick up some helpful, useful things. We're gonna find our third. We got Grenade Man. We got Teleport Man. We got Sniper Man. Really, it comes down to what do you want to do here? Well, we want to pick Relocate because it seems pretty useful. Last, certainly not least, Focus, and then we want to pick very particularly something here. That's what we'll do. So, what exactly do we want? What do we want? Well, we're player character. We're pretty generic. We're tired of getting pushed around. We're gonna lash out and punch everyone in the face simultaneously. Pretty good. So you have all this stuff. Very cool. Now, what you don't want to do is screw with the value to activate thing. You could, if you wanted, you could do something with this and test it to your, your mental limits. You could do that all you want. But I have found that screwing with this tends to screw with the game. And it's had me spend more time on making weapons than I otherwise ordinarily would. So we have this down here. We're ignoring this because we don't have a reason to tamper with it. We got the focus perks. We got the perks. We got the abilities handled. We got everything except for the weapon unlocks handled. So I mentioned, hey, yeah, we could do Nemesis, right? Let's do Nemesis rifle. Cool, very cool. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna save this as is. So we're gonna back out, and this is just to show you. We back out, click on game, click this button, and then we click. How about that? So as you can see, we got a couple different options here. Now obviously we could buy this right now. No reason to do that. So as you can see, everything is here. Everything is here. So that is pretty swanky. But it feels a little empty, doesn't it? There you go. As you can see, we got all the things going on. Got all the things going on. And look at our dude. He's so cute. Look at his little mouth. All right. Oh, and just to show you, enabler. Player character is enabled, as you can see. So it did appear there. In case you're wondering if lists populate, they do. They do. But so we want to do two more things. We're going to do two more things here. It's ammo and weapon. We want to create an ammo, and we want to create a weapon. So this is pretty simple as well. It's about as simple as all the other stuff we were doing. So we want to pick something that we feel we would like. So if you click this show S2 configs, this will remove everything on the list that was made by the studio, Flowfire. So the S2 configs being, of course, the Synthetik 2 configurations, which is what all this is. So while we have all these options, and we can turn them all off, the problem is when we turn this off, we have nothing made. So we want to make something. Clicking this will give us plenty of inspiration because all of our options are visible to us. So what do we want? What do we want? What kind of weapon do we really want to make? What do we want? Well, let's just go with something that is no big deal. Whatever. Copy. Again, as with the previous two mentions, copy. Every time. Until you know what you're doing. But copy every time. Same thing as for, config state's already set to finish. That's nice. Player character, meet gun damage. Or damage gun. Damage gun. We could also, even because we're a cutie pie, damagun. Yeah. The damagun. Yeah, let's call it the damagun. Yeah. The damagun. The damagun. Okay, so we got the damagun together. Description. Damagun make whole. In body. For all time. There you go. Okay. Damagun make whole in body for all time. Yes, it do. Yes, it do. Again, thumbnail not important. This stuff not really important. Though, let's get one thing straight. Loot type is important. If you intend on having this gun show up anywhere outside of weapon select, loot type. We got a couple different options here. You have all of this, and you could make it a black market item if you wanted. You can make it a challenge item, lost and found mystery. Yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff. You can tack on more. You can make it so that it can spawn anywhere. You can make it so it spawns nowhere. You could just delete your gun. Who cares? Weapon model, blah, blah, blah. Toko, yeah, blah, blah, blah. This all is just basically, what do you want the gun to look like? These aren't really options, though you can use them as thumbnails. Or like the thing that displays with the gun when you go to select it. Weapon model is just like the player model. So you can have really anything show up here. I think we'll pick one that doesn't make any sense. We could go with no weapon, but that's whatever. It's no, stop it. You could also attach a frame heating image, which is just like if your weapon overheats, you see some colors or something. I don't know. Sounds, we could do all kinds of sounds, but you know what we'll do? We'll pick the easy one, right? Pew! There you go. So yeah, and you can adjust the volume. There's a whole library of sounds, but we're not going to really bother with any of that. No point. Weapon aiming, targeting target UI style. You can look at that later if you want, just by hovering over. There you go. That's what that is. Ready to comment, blah blah blah. This all I'd like to go into later, but really the important thing that we know affects gameplay just up front is whatever we select here. Weapon upgrade kits in Synthetik 2, you're given only so many of them at a time each time you find some, and each of these rarities attaches a different cost to upgrade to the gun. I'm just gonna go uncommon. Each of these costs, at least for the most part, are gonna be different. Just how it is. Droppable? Do we want to drop it from our hands? No. It's our starter weapon. I mean, I don't want to drop my starter weapon. So we have these options here. Single auto burst. Single is just you pull the trigger once, one bullet comes out. Burst, you pull the trigger once, several bullets come out. Auto, pull the trigger and maybe hold it. We're going to go with the burst. Now, if we want burst fire gun, How many bullets do we want? 3 is pretty good. 2 is not bad. 4 is pretty good. So I think we'll do is we'll do now. Do we really want to fire 234 bullets at the same time? The 234 is a lot, right? It's a lot for a burst, right? And sure, certainly that seems absurd. Why do that? Well, I mean, you could do that. You could do 234 bullets. It's a lot, but I mean, if we adjust the rounds per minute, it cuts down on the amount of time we spend shooting a gun. So we're just going to do 23,432. That's what we're gonna do. So that's what we're doing, and then do 0.1 for 0.1 damage, and then the heating, cooling. Those are essentially just like they keep the player in check, and then also apply a counterbalance to the check that is heat. And we're doing cooling at 100 because if we're firing so many bullets at a time, the overheat will just be there, right? So what if we did 100 cooling and 1 heat? What if instead we did 100 heat and only 1 cooling? Let's try that. Take it a step further. There you go. So this is going to be bad for someone who doesn't want to be reckless, but that's beside the point. We're trying to show off a fun thing. So we have our damage pretty low. We have this, sure, we're shooting a lot of bullets, but what's it to you? Here's where we can bother with ammo. We're going to make ammo, an ammo type here soon, but what I want to do is I want to get the rest of these weapon stats out there and handled. So we're going to do 2,340 bullets because that gives us 10 shots. And yeah, spare ammo. 23400. Don't do this really, because then game balance is just thrown away when if you make it a point to do this a lot. Yeah. So magazine size, obviously how many bullets in the gun you can shoot. A spare ammo at start. You always want this number to be something like double or triple the magazine size because your starting magazine size pulls from your spare ammo. So your spare ammo is, it considers the magazine size up front, deducts from the spare ammo at the start to have the magazine size at its current maximum. Yeah, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Now we can do single bullet reload, which is what you do with shotguns. You know, shell in, fire, shell out, shell in, fire, shell out, shell in, fire. Shotguns, you know. You can also use the grenade launchers. You can set this really for any gun, but make sense of it, because if you don't make sense of it, what's the point? And also, unless you just want to have fun, but typically you want to make sense of it. Just as a heads up too, you see how these yellow bars are here? That means we've edited this field. That means that we've made a change here. And if we leave without saving, these marked fields will revert back to whatever they were before we changed whatever is here. So also keep that in mind. These yellow bars, that's showing you that something's been changed. So keep that in mind. So all this stuff you can play with, but active reload start, basically the point in the pie where the active reload, the sweet spot. So that's the start. You're also determining a finish to some degree, active reload time span, how long the active reload strip lasts in seconds. So we're gonna do 0.5. And see, watch for a moment. You see the new yellow bar? Yellow bar. See? There you go. Shell scale, shell sound delay. These things I don't mess with. They're not important unless you just really want to go all out. But for the most part, these are not important. Moving on. Recoil curve. This is pretty cool. If you want to know just what's going on with the recoil, this will show you. And this will also adjust itself based on what you do here. So time to full recoil, let's just say 300, right? So remember how that looked before? This is how it looks now. What if I change it to max reload of 1, right? What does it do? Change it? I don't know if that's actually doing what it's supposed to. 1. Typically it does. Typically it does do stuff. Yeah, we're just gonna leave this here. Moving on. And deviation. I'll let you read this quick. So 3 degrees from the barrel. 3 degrees bolt deviation degrees. So imagine if I did like 45 degrees from the barrel. It's a crazy gun, so what does it matter, right? Directional weighting. This is all stuff I haven't done anything with. First shot accuracy, offset movement, and accuracy. I haven't done much with those. These aren't things that matter to me, but you can play with them. You have to learn this just as much as I do if you're going to bother in the first place. So you'll figure it out either before or after me. None of that really matters too much. It's okay. Recoil advanced, I can't really tell you too much. You could probably figure it out on your own. But again, like some testing goes a long way. Charge up mechanics. This is if you want there to be a delay on the fire of your gun. Okay, charge up specifically is what I'm concerned with. Charge down delay. You let that do its thing. Change it if you want. I'm not bothering with it. I never have, and I don't want to throw anyone off, so I'm just going to leave that alone. So animation type. Moving on, animation type rifle. We got a few options here. In essence, this is going to affect how your character looks when they're using the weapon. Now we have a rifle, so we're keeping the rifle. Force left hand IK. Now I asked about this. I asked Shrike, whoever I could in Discord, and they told me basically this has to do with if your weapon requires 2 hands or not. It'll move the left hand to a certain place. So essentially, force left hand IK you should be turning on if you're using rifle, shotgun, maybe even dual pistol, maybe club, launcher, hammer. I'll leave that up to you, how you want to bother with that, because it yields different results. Eject speed mod, whatever. Reload speed mod. We'll do 6 6s. 6 is my favorite number. Equip speed modifier, unequip speed modifier. This is stuff that you do if you want to like maybe switch weapons faster, that kind of thing. I typically don't mess with it. I don't really see a point. You're switching weapons. Yeah. Moving on. So first and foremost, like I said from the top, technology perks amount. This, along with the value to activate for the perks, has done me a great amount of harm. If I were you, I would leave this at 1 and then change all of these here to 0 if you have any down here, because it could bring up an issue. And I'll just tell you a small list of issues I've had. Switching weapons, not being able to shoot weapons, not being able to pick up dropped weapons, things like that. This all happens, and I don't know why it's related to, but it happens for some reason because of these values being changed. So do me a favor, don't try to play it cutesy with the idea of RPG mechanics where you unlock the unstable mechanic on level 2 of the gun, where the gun becomes strange to use because it's acting in an unstable manner. Don't do that. I've tried that. It just ruins a lot, and it puts you through a lot. Don't do it. Just don't do it. So, okay, grant variant perk. Now, what is that? Well, a variant, basically, it's a technology modification for your gun. It treats it differently. So here we go. We're gonna go from there. We're going to do 3 different perks. Okay. Now, actually, we'll do 4. We'll do 4. The first one. So we're gonna search. Now from here, you can see 91 pages. It looks similar to one of the other pages you've seen before. We're on page 1 of 91. Let's go to page 91. This is where you'll find variants. They're tucked in at the back. And if you're doing stuff with weapon stuff, this is all W perk, weapon perk. If you want to just do weapon perk stuff, you want to start clicking the left arrow, not the right. You don't want to search through all this. This is nonsense sifting. Okay? You're sifting through nonsense with this because some of this stuff doesn't work the way you may want it to on a weapon. So ignore it. But we have a few different variants here, which is pretty sweet. We got military frontline, heavy, mil-spec, breaching, decelerating. Yeah, you get it. So we gotta think, right? Us as, player character, we're kind of an idiot, right? So what if we reduce our damage even more? Well, we want to gain experience for our time spent. Well, let's do that. Training variant. So we're doing less damage. We're already doing pretty bad damage already, but our rate of fire is insane, so it's like that doesn't even matter. So the variant is handled. Unclick this. As soon as you apply a variant, turn that off immediately. And the reason we do that is very simple. we're applying a variant, and we don't, just as I showed you before with taking the weapons away from as like starters. In the class page, here in the weapons page, we want to make sure that things we aren't doing intentionally don't show up as part of the finished product or the testing item, the item we use to test. Just keep that in mind. Now, what we want to do next is, so check it out, right? We got attachments here. Always keep this at 4, unless you're doing something intentionally to cripple the player, right? Or the weapon, whatever, right? The player as well, because maybe someone downloads this from you, who knows? So we got barrel attachment, mixed attachment 2, stock attachment, mixed attachment. We can do all of this. I'm not going to change really anything here, but what I will do is I'm going to pull up the barrel attachments. Now, the reason I'm doing this, so what I'm going to do first of all is hit WATT, because WAT is the start of weapon attachment. WAT attachment, okay? Attachment. So here we have all these here. We're focused on the barrel, right? This is important. If you're doing any of this, this is incredibly important. Please do not ignore this part. This is really important. We have all these barrels here. Now, why are we pulling up weapon attachments and barrels? Well, I'll explain. Essentially, we're picking an attachment that we want to throw on the weapon. We want to give the weapon attachments from the start. So what we want is, if we're doing this, right, we want to pick something that we think helps a lot. So what do we want to do exactly? Well, I'll tell you what I want to do. I want to increase the damage range. So projectile speed, that increases our DPS. Again, we want the damage range. But so projectile speed and damage. We have two options. Projectile speed by 40%, damage 25. Damage going up by 25, it helps us expend less to get the same job done. Projectile speed, if you're doing heavy damage, but you have a lower projectile speed, that you may want this in particular. We're gonna go with big bore. So why am I going on about this, right? Why do we have to do the barrel first before anything else? Did you notice something? This is the first attachment I'm choosing. This is the first attachment available to the player. If you decide to, say for instance, we change this to like chip attachment, right? And barrel is the first attachment we have here, right? That we have attached to the weapon, but we have barrel here somewhere, or maybe even not even involved. What happens is, big bore, this barrel here, because it's not the first weapon attachment selected, the first kind of weapon attachment, if this is our arrangement here, big bore will eat up so many of our weapon spots, right? Our attachment spots. So if I switch this to barrel, and I have barrel here, it will erase these three and you cannot upgrade your weapon anymore. Keep this in mind, please. You will ruin yourself in a really funny way. Don't do this to yourself. If you just want one weapon attachment, just remove all the others by doing this. Not hard, not a big deal. No one cares. Except I do, because I love you. Moving on. We're gonna switch these back, and then we're even going to let's do trigger. Let's do trigger. So we're doing 4. We're doing 4. But we're not doing 4 attachments, but we are attaching another attachment. That's what you do with attachments. We're gonna go with, because I am a mean bastard, we're gonna attach this thing. So this is probably the best attachment in the game. Probably. Not saying it is, but that it probably is. It's not because it's got barrel trigger. This will not be affected adversely, except you won't be able to choose 2 attachments. You'll only be able to upgrade 2. Yeah, you can only do 2 attachments from the start, which is fine, because I'm giving you a crazy good set, big bore and hyper cascading. Not bad. What do we want this 4th one to be? Well, that's not too hard to figure out. We just go to weapon perk, and then what we do is we search around for things that we really want. What do we really want? Well, we can do high pressure for fun. And that's what we'll do. So we're picking high pressure. We have high pressure big bore, hyper cascading trigger, and the variant police training variant. So this is all good. Again, please just do us all a favor. Don't change these values. You will break your gun if you do that. It will break, I promise you. I promise you. Unless you know something more than I do, unless you know better than I do, which you likely don't, because you're probably not watching this video because you know what you're doing and want to brush up. Maybe you do, which in that case, hey, how you doing? Nice to see ya. I like your mod, I think. I haven't seen it, but I probably like it just because I'm a nice guy right now. Okay, so all this all this together, we got the Damagun's basically set. Now, remember, there was one other thing we wanted to do, and that was create an ammo type. So we could do that from here, right? But we won't do that from here. We're going to save this as is, and then we're going to go and from here make the ammo. And the reason why is you don't have to really click as much, because if you're selecting an ammo type from the weapon tab, like we could have just done, where we could have selected the ammo there while we're making the gun, you have to click stuff at the top or whatever. Here, all you need to do is scroll down. You could also, by the way, click with your left mouse button and drag it. Hey, that's pretty sweet too, right? You can even do it here. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So what do we want? What do we really want? What do we really want? I don't know quite what I want. I have a favorite ammo type that I probably shouldn't be using. I'll just point it out. It's the, what the fuck is it? It's the phosphorus. Phosphorus is insane. Wherever the hell that we have it. It's around here somewhere. It's under special. And you can even punch in spec and get the special ammo types. Now, we have all these options here, and for the most part, they basically all work. Grenadier bouncing grenades. That harpoon ammo looks more like arrows. So you could do arrows and stuff, right? You could do that very easily. Shock mortar, taser, stun shot. All of these are available to you. You can do stuff with all of this. You may want to look very carefully at the details of the ammo that you're messing with, because it could be that the ammo you're messing with is just bad because it requires you to be up close, right? Where is my phosphorus, dude? There's explosion, phosphorus. So we could choose this. I actually don't want to. I don't want to in this case because of one very simple thing. It's the most graphically intensive choice you have. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose Fireball instead. We're gonna go with Fireball. It's pretty sweet. Rubber projectile? No, we don't want rubber projectile. You know what we do want? I'll tell you what we want. We want to look around for what's probably the most insane of our choices, because we're shooting fireballs, right? We want this to be absolutely goddamned insane. So be careful with your choices here. Ballistic very fast will break your game probably. Don't choose it unless you're ready to laugh your head off. So what do we actually want? What do we want to mess with here? I think personally the most fun option is the best option. So we're gonna go with bouncing projectile. Bouncing projectile. I don't know quite what that's gonna do, but we're not gonna mess with this too much because I don't know all the ins and outs. But we're gonna make ammo very simply. We're not gonna do too much, but I'm gonna point out a few things and say some things that I've noticed before. So what do we want to name it? We could go with Damn a Blam. Damn a Blam. Because it's damage and but it's also the blamage. Damn a Blam. Damn a Blam is our ammo type. Yes. Damn a Blam. So again, thumbnail, category, not important. You could do all that stuff, but I don't know if you want to complicate your experience. Player frame icon for the bullet case. So we could do some stuff here. We could choose a thing. I'm gonna choose this one because it looks cool. Player frame icon for the bullet tip. So we could choose any of these. I think what I'll do is I'll pick this guy because I think that's neat. Ammo icon. Not gonna mess with it. Speed multiplier. Don't mess with it. Max range. Lifespan. You could do stuff with this, certainly. And just to be clear, lifespan has to do with like rockets and stuff. How soon they explode when you fire them. So we're ignoring all that. We're down here now. Deflection, bounce chance. We just want to maximize that. Ignore armor bounces. We're going to ignore that too. This is all stuff that you can play with. All of this is super fun stuff. But you got to make sure you take it at your own speed, because you may end up hating what you're doing and abandoning what you're working on. Don't do that to yourself, please. Default. So impact explosions, default. We could do a bunch of stuff with this. I'm gonna experiment a little bit myself. But so this is explosion configuration. I don't know quite what I want to do with this, but what I will do is I will choose something simple. I think impact acid could be cool. Normal explosion, orbital beam burst. There's a lot of stuff you can do here that I think you'll really enjoy, but I think what I want to do is I just want to pick something simple, and I'll pick the stun explosion. I could also just do a shockwave that could have more of an effect, more of an impact. So we're leaving this alone because we really don't even know what these do. And when I say we, I mean myself and anyone who hasn't learned these things yet. We, you get it. Base damage modifier, not messing with this. Not messing with this. I could do this. I could do this, and just to show you, I'll even put a 1 everywhere. I'll put 1s on everything. Except for this. I'm not going to do that. Well, yeah, I guess I will then. Who cares? Special. This is all stuff that you shouldn't really worry about. But you can if you want. This is all cool stuff. We're going to explore that later, though. But I'll give you an example of what entity to spawn on hit or fade can do. Action to call on hit. Action to call on hit. What I've done is I've switched the entity option to Roomba, and what the gun was doing was it was spawning Roombas when I would fire the gun. Yeah. And that actually came in handy because it's how I figured out that uploading your depot uploads your entire depot and not just one specified item. So, but style, shell sound, we're ignoring all of that. This is done. Damn it Blam is finished. Damn it Blam is finished, so we're good. Now we move on to weapon. Remember, we got the Damn gun. We scroll the whole way down, or click, hold, pull, search. Damn it Blam. So technically, it's finished. But is it finished in the sense that we're fine with it? Is it actually ready? That's the biggest question. So we don't know. But what I do know is I'm making Damn it Blam an option to choose from. Right now. Damn a gun. The Damn a gun. So this is technically finished. Click save. Exit. And because we have confidence that we probably haven't earned, we're just gonna go right into it. Now our guy's ready. The Damn a gun. Damn a gun, make hull and body for all time. Yeah. And he holds it weird. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna start. No difficulty modifiers. We're just gonna start. Let's go. This is gonna be exciting. And what we'll do is we're gonna test it in like the first map stage, right? To see if everything works. And we gotta do a few things to make sure everything works. One thing we have to do for sure is we have to go find a weapon that we didn't start with, right? Like a weapon chest or something. We have to get that weapon, and then we have to do our tests. We have to switch the weapons. We have to see if we can shoot immediately with the gun. We have to drop the gun that we made. We have to pick up the gun that we made again, then drop the gun that we got for testing purposes. There's a whole few things you gotta do, which I'll show you the methods. I'll show you exactly what I do in order to figure out for yourself whether or not things are as they should be. And after we do the test here, we're gonna move to the tutorial level. I'm gonna show you where exactly you go to do your best testing ever. So, let's go. Okay. Our damage is 43. That is spectacularly low. But look, as you can see, look at that. Ain't that cool? It displays like it should. Now, test fire. See our ammo regen? Yeah, so we died. No big deal. So that's what happens when your overheat is just out there, right? It seemed like, hey, our damage is over 9,000. It seemed like the gun was fine. So now we're gonna go to the lobby. We're back. We're gonna go back. Tutorial. So the tutorial is the place to be if you just want to test things, to learn some things about whatever you got going on. This is the place to go. Okay, so you can shoot at some dudes here if you want. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but you can switch to interrupt the burst fire. Also, by the way, if you overheat, right? If your overheat can never calm down, you'll never have a shield while you have the weapon equipped. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, that is how you create a class, create weapon, create ammo, create the subclass, all the goodness, all the good stuff, right? How you trade out perks for items, and so much more. How you even equip attachments properly to your weapon, and the things that you should just avoid. This has been a tutorial, however lengthy it is. It is full of information that is here in this video for a very good purpose, for a very good reason. Modding is some of the most fun I've had with Synthetik because of what you're allowed to do. There is really no ceiling, really no cap on the kinds of things that you can do. There are some things outside of the box that you go, oh, I guess I probably couldn't do that, and you'd probably be right, but there is support, at least more support that we should see for creating your own maps, your own games, weapons. So we're going to keep at it. We're going to keep producing tutorials. We're going to keep producing all sorts of things. We want to produce guides through this channel. And we just want the player experience to be hard to compare to any other player experience you could have with the game. As it is, the people, fellas, ladies over at Flowfire that make these synthetic games, they're very nice. They talk to people. They're very responsive. They're always hearing people out. They want to incorporate community creations into the game. They gave us modding. Day one, I believe, like day one of public access being a thing, public to any build of Synthetik 2 that the public has had access to. I believe from the very beginning of the first publicly accessible build of Synthetik 2, modding has been a big component. I say a big component because you can have very little content in the game, but you then also, with the modding, this whole modding thing. You basically have given people the ability to create their own games with no issue. It's just a matter of the knowledge. So for now, this has been a tutorial. I'm going to end the video here for now. This is RG with Synthetik Source, and I hope to see y'all again real soon. Real soon.